Hiya guys, it's James Ashford here, the dude who runs the site. Well anyway, basically this is the first proper tutorial I'm going to be posting on here, and it's kind of a bit of an odd one, but I thought I should do it. Basically, it's kind of like a quick introduction and explanation of a really cool program I like to use quite often. And basically what it is it's hard to explain really, but as you can see we have, well, let's just start with the basics. It's called Endorphin. It's by a company called Natural Motion. They do what you call an education version. I did not say that. Education version, pardon me. Which basically is a free version. It's almost like a permanent trial version. So one or two features aren't there, but they're nothing massive unless you want to carry on with some other tutorials I may be doing. But it's nothing massive, but the education version is really, really good. So just search Natural Motion in Google and you'll find that, and just download that. Anyway, what Endorphin is to me, it's a really good way of kind of doing like organic animation of humans and stuff, because as you can see, there's a little guy in the scene. It's a 3D world, and you can see there's a guy here, and he's got all the different segments, and so he looks very much like a biped, say, from 3ds Max or so on. So basically what this allows us to do is it allows us to generate animations or bring in an animation. It comes with some preset animations, so I'm going to be using those today. So to use an animation or create an animation and transfer them to like a bone system, and then have them, so for example, if I just show you here, this guy's got nothing on him, so he's got no, I've not told him to keep his muscles tense or anything, so he's literally just going to fall over to the power of gravity. So if I just quickly explain to you, this is your timeline. You put like objects, so save, import, export, undo, redo. So this is for moving. So if I click on my character, this is for moving the whole character. So that's kind of like your main selection. This is your sub-selection where I can move a specific. You see also the rest of the body reacts to what I do, so you can. So yeah! But yeah. So this is like a sub-selection, so you can like rotate his arm and then like do some crazy stuff with that. Or you can. This is a. Yep, that's just to set back to T. Okay, this is to make a character. And then, okay, so you get mass objects and collision objects. Basically, a mass object, if I actually just delete that, is almost like a dynamic or rigid body in, say, so for example, if you know Cinema 4D, it will be a rigid body. So it's basically an object that reacts with gravity and your character. A collision object is unaffected by it's unaffected by like gravity, so you can have your actor hit it and react to it, but it won't move. And then these are just different behavioral things, and like force and lock and so on. So I'll get into those in a minute. This is your timeline, as I mentioned earlier. This is where you can see all your characters, and then I'll tell you what tracks are, and then this is the environment. So you'll see, so in your environment track, it's where you can affect these objects up here. Now you have delete simulation, or clear frames as it says. Beginning of the animation, back one frame, play backwards, simulate, you'll be using simulate a lot, play forwards, forward one frame, and then to the end of animation. So as I was saying, because there's no, like, I haven't told this guy to do anything, so I haven't told him to be stiff and like keep him, so to support his weight, he's literally just going to fall to the ground. So when I hit simulate, there he is just falling to the ground. He has absolutely no bone structure. So this kind of brings us neatly on to our kind of first thing I'm just going to show you, which is behaviors. So there's a behavior button up here, but I prefer to right click and hit. So here's a load of stuff, but just look for create behavior. And then you see it gives the default of arms windmill. You can extend this to the number of frames you want and so on. And then here's your properties view, here's your hierarchy, so you'll get these in many 3D programs. So in behavior, if you click on name, there's different behavioral events, and you can combine them. So for example, if I say body stiffness, I won't get into what any of this does, but okay, just body stiffness, and then if we create another behavior event, and then move this. Okay, so now this also allows me to explain what tracks are. Tracks are, it's almost like layers. It allows you to layer animation and behavior events and constraints and forces and so on. So I could now maybe do, say, oh, sorry, actually, I just realized something. It's not body stiffness, it's balance. That's to keep him from falling over. So now if we go into arms windmill again, we could say, and let's see, let's do arm zombie. And then when we simulate again, and so there you saw, if you see, if I just, so you can drag, this is like the cursor, so you can go through your animation. You can see, if you watch till I get to the end of the arm zombie, his hands will stay there, but will be affected by gravity. And the minute I hit the end of the balance, he just falls to the power of gravity again. So that's kind of a quick introduction to behavioral events. So now I'm just going to delete those and sorry, just one sec. I don't know, there was something in my throat. Very sorry for that. Okay, so now this brings us, so now we've covered behavioral events. So now I'm going to show you what a constraint event is. So I'm just going to click here. So yet again, like a behavioral event, you can extend it and so on. But now there's like under name, you can only rename it. So that's kind of, it doesn't work the same in that sense. You've got two types. You've got join bodies, lock with parent, lock orientation, lock position, and then lock. Lock means it locks it completely. Lock position means you can't move it around, but you can rotate it. Orientation means you can't rotate it. And then lock with parent, it locks to whatever it is with the hierarchy. And then join body, so that's like if you've got, say, a gun prop and you want your character to walk with the gun prop, you can join the body. So I'm just going to keep it as lock. And then under target object, this is what it will lock. So I'm just going to lock the guy's hand. You can shift select to, or shift and then drag select to select multiple, but I'm just going to select his hand. And when I simulate this, you see his hand is stuck in space. And so once the constraint event's finished, he lets go. So that's what that does. So that's what a constraint event is. So now, every time you change something, you have to resimulate. So if you see me hitting simulate quite often, that's why. Force events, I love force events. Basically, when I click it, you see this little arrow pointing at his chest. So now I can change the point in time when this happens. I'm just going to leave it at the beginning. And then yet again, we can select where we want it to happen. So let's say his head. Then we have strength, elevation, and rotation. So the rotation, if I change this to say naught, it's going to go to his side. So that kind of delegates in what rotation the force will be incurred. So now, obviously, I'm sure you're all very intelligent people, so I'm sure you're all going to work out that a force event basically incurs like an impact onto a person or so on. So if you've looked at my YouTube video, there's actually a few people like getting hit like you see a guy get hit in the chest and fall over, so that's using a force event. So we can change the strength. It goes from 1, which is the smallest force, to 50, which is the biggest force, and you see the size of the arrow changes accordingly. Elevation is literally what it means. It's like what angle it strikes from. So I'm just going to leave it at 90, because the thing with elevation is if you elevate it slightly, the guy will go flying at 50. This way he's just going to be pushed pretty far. So that was a bit of a slow frame rate, so if I actually just go back and play that, you can see, talk about bending over backwards. This guy is literally bending over backwards. So that's now you know why I love force events. Now I'm going to actually leave that force event on because you can see what a sever event does much better when you use a force event. Now, a sever event is literally what it means. It severs a body part. So, as you can see, it's aptly made an axe. Now, it's like a, I'm going to say a diamond? It's not really a diamond, is it? It's just, looks more like a rhombus. But yeah, but anyway. So now, if I select his pelvic area, it's going to separate his legs from his body. So when we hit him, it's not going to work, because what have I done wrong? Type 7, I'm actually just gonna offset it a bit, that it... Misa is confused. 7. Don't know, let's try a different body part, maybe it's just being stupid. Oh no, there we go. Arm went flying off. Oh, I think I know why it's not doing it. Let's try this. It's probably fine that there's not all... There we go. It is severing it, it's just not severing it the way we want it to. Okay, I'm going to sever those now. His legs should come off, in theory. Yeah! So you can do some quite, like, funny animations, so you could maybe do, like, a... If you're using, like, toon rendering or something, you could maybe do, like, a classic Looney Tunes kind of thing, where you have, like, a guy get hit by something, and then just his legs are left or something. So you can do some pretty funny stuff with that. So I'm just going to get rid of all of this. But I'm going to actually show you what kind of Endorphin does and how it does it most powerfully. So I'm actually just going to delete this character, because that character is not very good in transferring, like, animation to it. So if we go into our add character, we have our standard simulation character, which is the default. But there's audio motion 2, eyes, Japan, large, and woman. So I'm just going to take audio motion 1. Slightly different, slightly smaller, but it works just the same. So if we select our audio motion 1, actually I'm just going to call him Run Man. Run Man Run! Okay, so Run Man Run. So now if we import, so just, yeah, sorry, I kind of skipped a step there. So basically what this guy's going to do is he's going to run, and then I'm going to hit him with a force event. So now what this is I'm importing an animation, like a proper animation made in Maya that comes with Endorphin. Well, Maya doesn't come with Endorphin, the animation comes with Endorphin, but it's made in a program like Maya. And basically what this allows us to do is I'm going to take an animation and actually combine the animation with the simulation. So it allows me to have him run, and then it translates his running velocity with the strike. So it's a really cool way of kind of doing stuff. So if I go File, Import, this allows us to get the animation. So now if you don't find it immediately, if you go into your install directory, and then there's a folder going to be called Resources. So just open the Resources, and then under Animation, you've got 3 folders, and they match the simulation characters. I'm going to select Audio Motion 1. There's different, so for example, if you can see, I'm going to be using the run .fbx, but there are others like driving, dive even, jump off a box, T-pose, so on, and then in like Eyes Japan, there's like boxing and fast walk and soccer, and so there's quite a few like example animations, but we're just going to use the run.fbx. So just select it and hit open. So now you're going to get all of this. So now I'm going to tell it to source a reference character. This just allows it to be more accurate. So you're just going to say audio motion 1, say quite accurate. Then you can just leave everything else at default, and then it's just going to say dynamic motion transfer. And now when we simulate, you see we've got our man running. So now if you saw the end of the animation, he's grayed during the animation to indicate he's in animation, and then right at the end he's still carrying his velocity, but he's switched back to normal, so he's just going to fall over. So now if we go to 109 when the animation ends, and we put a force 1 and just, I'm actually just going to offset it by 1 frame, just to make it actually work, otherwise I'm going to look like an idiot. Okay, so I've offset it 1 frame. So now he should run and get hit in the chest, although you won't really see it because the strength isn't very high, so 500. What? So now you'll see it's a good way of kind of... So actually no, what we could actually do is if we look when he frame, oh yeah, I need to resimulate. So he goes back into simulation at that point. So if we go to this point, see he's still got a reasonably good motion. I'm going to create a box collision. So if I scale it down that way and then scale it across and make it more like a beam, bring it up to about his head height. Bring it that way. He should actually fly straight into it and headbutt himself. There we go. See, I'm actually seeing if I can't increase his velocity. There we go, strength. So if we increase his strength to a larger number, he should headbutt himself pretty well. I'm actually just going to offset it some more. And then another thing you can do to make a reaction more dramatic is, so you can export this. So you see he hits himself in the head, but it's not a very dramatic kind of, oh god, I've been hit. So what you can actually do is you can use a force event to kind of cheat it a bit into making it look far more severe and kind of devastating, shall we say. So I'm not going to make it very big, I'm just going to make it 20, just enough that it actually has an effect. So you see, oh, fail. It seems it wants to be quite mean to me today. So yeah, so if we do this, bah, so it's a lot more violent and so on. So you can do something like that. Or another thing you can do is, if we make this a little bit more complex and we delete, let's delete the force event, delete the box. Let's actually make another character. So I'm going to choose audio motion again. I'm going to select his layer and say, kick! And that was a failed kick. And then go file, import once again. This is another animation. And this is just something I actually just want to show you guys. It's pretty awesome. I think it's in Eyes Japan, I think? No, it's not. There's an animation that comes with this. Ooh, there we go. I'm just going to show you. See, everything's remembered. And now, if we simulate, see, there's a guy that does a martial arts kick. So, if we move, so that's when he kicks, and then that's when the guy cuts out. So I want to kick him at that point. Okay, and then these are just your simulation points. I'm actually just going to extend the front of the animation that he's just in idle. Okay, so now I'm just going to arrange it as to have, so you can see the guy's not moving as yet, but this is the skeleton which causes the reaction. So if we just angle it in such a way to move around, I'm just using Alt left click to orbit, Alt right click to zoom in and out, and then Alt middle button to pan, so to speak. So you see, so that will be a good, I'm actually just gonna move it slightly that he hits him there. I'm just going to move it closer. So put it slightly into him that you actually get an impact. Now this is something I just wanted to show you. You can change the properties. So basically if I simulate it now, he kicked him, nothing happened. Now the reason being is, even though at the point of impact, you see he went straight into his foot, he falls right through him. The reason being is this character, although in animation, has got absolutely no collision to it. He's just an animation. So what we can do is, if we select this, you can see it says simulation mode, no simulation. So if we say collision with momentum, now when we simulate, it's going to take a little bit longer, but it's actually going to simulate the guy getting kicked. Yet again, we can make this look far more dramatic with him getting hit by a force event, because unfortunately, what looks cool and what physics agrees with, unfortunately, are at a very high loss. So, that's a sad day! It's a sad day! But yeah, so I'm just going to see that the point of impact's about there. So I'm just going to create a force event and put it on his head, because that's about, I'm actually going to put it about here, actually, because that's where he's getting hit, and I'm going to set it to about 35. So now he should actually look like he's been kicked quite severely. Yeah. Ooh, I may actually put it up a bit. So what I'm actually going to do is, because his leg's kind of at an elevated angle, I'm going to actually try and match that elevation Let's see, yeah, that's about the elevation, roughly. I think at 35 it's going to look quite funny. Oh no. Did it go off at the right time? Yeah, I'm going to maybe make it a bit bigger. Just make it 50. Let's really give him a kick in the face. Now we can actually see that what's happening is he's getting hit by the knee. So I'm actually going to select this force event and selecting a few. No, I don't want to select his head. I'm selecting kind of this area so that it has a much greater effect on him. Otherwise, it's just going to look pretty retarded. And I'm going to have to turn the strength down because now it looks like he's being hit by a speeding car. Scene. So, as exaggerated as that is, it still looks pretty cool. So what we've created so far is a guy running, coming out of his animation, getting hit in the face, and then this guy then falling to the ground. So now what we can do is, so what I'm just trying to show you is it's just a fun way of using this program, and what I'm trying to kind of show you is how you can use a variety of techniques to make a really cool animation quite easily. Like, I mean, I've not done any keyframes, I've not done any rotoscoping, I've not done any manual animation, I've not done any moving of an armature or anything. It's been pretty automatic, but I've been able to make a very customized, very awesome looking kind of effect. So just to kind of add to that, I can actually extend this, and instead of arms windmill, we can have, say, I don't know, like hand protecting groin. Like, I mean, what guy's not going to protect the area that hurts? And he grabs his area. So you can customize it. So, like, let's see, what else could we do? We could have him writhe. No, writhe in midair, actually. Could try that. So it's pretty fun, because if you've got time, it's good to experiment, just kind of seeing what looks awesome. So you could see that kind of made it a little bit better, and we can layer this. I'm gonna insert another one, and maybe have him catch fall. Catch fall always looks good for a fall because he kind of tries to land on his arms and kind of prevent himself from being too hurt. So you see, he's kind of like, crap. So you can do that kind of stuff. So I'm probably going to end the tutorial now, but you can just see this is the kind of stuff you can do. And what you can actually do is you can export it as a movie. So you can like make a little animated movie, or you can export it as a BVH, which is a method of motion capture. So you can actually transfer the animation to, say, a biped in 3ds Max or Cinema 4D or so on. So yeah, so that concludes the tutorial.